Hey everybody, it's Steve with Real Progressives. We're going to take a moment to breathe. I'm going to say a quick thank you to all of you who have been so supportive, who have really taken the time to make me a part of your lives and for caring about what's going on in my life. I want you all to know that I've always used stories of my life to fit into kind of the stories that I plan to tell, or the things I intend to teach, whether it be about economics or whether it be about, warfare or life in general. And so I always try and draw upon personal experiences and tie those things together to give you a real view world, or a real world view, I should say, of what I'm talking about. So it's not like algebra. Let's be honest. When you were in middle school and they were making you do the Pythagorean theorem, I still don't know why the hell I'd use the Pythagorean theorem. You know what I mean? But in any event, a lot of that stuff was just sort of abstract. You didn't connect the dots. It didn't make a lot of sense. So I try really hard to draw upon my current situation with my father, and just life in general, so that you understand with my children that I'm not just up here talking about this stuff because it's the right thing to say to be a progressive. It's like it's the right thing to say as a human being, right? And here's why. And that's the approach that I try to take. But it's very late. I wasn't even going to stream tonight. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I had a rough go. And tomorrow I am going to see my father. And I'm facing the very real possibility that might be the last time I see my old man before he passes. I don't know. I mean, who knows, right? But it gets you really thinking about what are the things that matter in this world, and why is it that they matter, right? And so for those of you who have followed me, then you know that economics is probably my number one subject, that and being against war. And of course, because we got a primary and an election going on, you hear me talking about candidates. But really, in the very practical way, it's very important that we understand the economics and the impacts to everyday life. That holding on to old thinking, holding on to very bad, incorrect thinking does to us, and does to our families, and does to other people's families, and does to those poor kids in Syria, etc., right? Or, more importantly, the Dakota pipeline. Well, why is it that that's even an issue, right? So, somebody was sitting there, it's kind of funny actually, I got tagged into some threads by some of our loyal followers about economics. They were out there fighting the good fight, talking about how taxes don't fund spending, oorah! And they were, mixing it up with the gold bugs and mixing it up with the people that are dead set determined that come hell or high water, taxes fund spending, god damn it! And they, you take it a few steps down the argument, and then all of a sudden you hit that brick wall, and you're like, what was it that Steve said? What was that link? And then all of a sudden I get the bat signal, boop, 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 and I come in, and it just really hit me how big of a climb this is, and like I talked about last night, if we were understanding economics, things like research and development in this country, it would be a piece of cake, for goodness sakes, And as I watch my father deteriorate to nothing, I don't know about you, because you're probably not fully on board with the taxes don't fund spending thing yet. We'll get there. But when I think about it, because I think, you sons of bitches that say that stuff killed my father prematurely. Wow. It's pretty tough words, right? But maybe it gets your attention enough to start doing the homework. maybe you start realizing that I think of people that sit there and rail about taxes but no, they got to pay their fair share. No, we got to cut them and no. And that stupid back and forth that misses, hey, I need research and development, guys. You guys go play your tax game over there. I need R&D. Who's going to give me some frickin' R&D? I want my dad to live, guys. Who's going to give me the R&D? You over there cutting? You over there raising taxes? What's the big deal, guys? Taxes don't fund spending. Stop fighting. Taxes just make our currency worth something. Otherwise, you could go pay your taxes in bitcoins, which the libertarians would love, but we're not doing. We're not doing it, right? So, at the end of the day, taxes just keep our dollar valued. That's it. That really is it. Then they come out with the whole fractional reserve. But no, they're making money out of nothing. It's illegal. No, it's called interbanking dollars, buffoonicus. And inside the banking tiers, the reserves never get lent to the regular public. So stop talking smack about fractional reserve. You're killing people with that moronic stuff. You really are. My father is suffering because people that talk about fractional reserve lending are making other people that are not very smart on economics believe that it's theft, that it's just devaluing the currency. And so what happens is they cut spending, and then people like my father suffer. They don't get treatment because we don't have single-payer health care. They don't get treated because there's not the research out there to show what the right treatment is for progressive supranuclear palsy. Say that 10 times real fast. So your decisions to ignore economics are killing people. Hey, let's just say it the way it is, right? I can't do anything but speak plainly about this. If you ignore economics and you allow our politicians to play on your ignorance, and it's just pure ignorance, you believe that, hey, I write out a check and I have to pay my bills at the end of the month, so the federal government has to be the same way, right? Wrong. Dullard. It is a killer. Don't go there. The currency is our government's. That's why you have to pay tax in it to the government. Oh, but the Federal Reserve, shut up. Shut up. Wrong. It's killing people. The stupidity it hurts. It burns. The stupid burns. But more importantly, though, for real, all jokes aside, and I'm trying to keep it funny so you stay with me, people are dying because of this ignorance. Honest to God, if you ever want to see what I'm talking about, go to a libertarian page, or go to a Republican page, or go to a Hillbot page, and say something about taxes and why can't we have single-payer health care. You'll get some jackhole coming in and saying, what, do you want to be like Sweden and have all your money taken in taxes and still not get your services? And it's like, you, madame, need to zip this and open this because you are very incorrect again. And our politicians, it's not because they want to do the stuff. They're just as ignorant as the rest of us, right? And that's a problem. So we need to start making sure that they understand that these decisions for austerity under the auspice of good, prudent, we don't want to devalue our currency crap, okay, is bullshit. It's just bullshit, right? And every single one of these issues that keeps coming up, every single time I look at my teeth, I got these things I call my West Virginia teeth. Every time I look at them, I say somebody needs to get the shit kicked out of them for lying and saying taxes fund spending. Because we could have universal dental, too. People shouldn't have to sit there and debate about whether to pay their electric bill or get their teeth fixed so they don't fall out of their mouth. But here we are. Because people want to talk about taxes funding spending. Moronically. Let's call it real. You're a moron if you say that. There's no harm in it. It's just true. So we got to get rid of that. We got to educate you so that you don't say it, because we need a whole army of people fighting the hordes of zombies that are going to say, but my taxes, my hard-earned taxes. And they're going to be clawing at the door trying to get in taxes, fund spending. But they don't. So as I sit there and think about all the pain, you guys, if you don't listen to all my stories as gospel, think about your own. Think about all the times where your bad choices were compounded by the fact that there were no services available. Think about all the times that you had to make really, really bad choices just to make the less bad choice because there was no funding available. I could have Melanie stay at home and watch our children if she wanted to, because she loves being with the kids. If we didn't have to pay for daycare and stuff like that, we had to really balance that out. Does mom stay home, or do we need mom to go to work? And what happens if Steve the contractor gets laid off or the contract ends? Then what? Well, why don't we have an employer of last resort? Why don't we have a federal job guarantee? Because taxes fund spending, man. Taxes, taxes, taxes. We got to raise them. No, we got to cut them. We got to raise them. No, we got to cut them. Guys, we need an employer of last resort. I don't care about your tax war. Go over there with the losers and talk about taxes. It's a sign of a loser, an idiot, a loser, a microphone abuser. Get over there. Go with the slow kids and start talking about taxes, fund spending. The big kids need to govern. And we need to get this shit right quick, because people are freaking dying. It's not a joke. Okay. My most serious face. It is absolutely not a joke. Talking about taxes, funding, spending. Talking about fractional reserve lending. Talking about the real economy and praxeology is murder. Just is. Straight face. I consider that to be murder by proxy, just like Hillary. Voting for Hillary, it's the same thing. Talking about taxes, funding, spending, and sitting there and worrying about raising their taxes over here and doing this over there. Look, we should raise taxes on the wealthy. Why is that? Let's talk about that for a minute. Not to fund spending. Number one, to make it so they can't buy elections. Number two, to assist with income inequality. Although it's not the greatest tool for that. The job guarantee actually is. But this whole fight about taxes, funding, spending, and stuff like that, it's bullshit, and it needs to go away. And it's up to you guys to start doing your homework and reading to help me. Because if I have to do this speech differently, same way, shift gears, find a new story to present it, try and build it up in a different way so a new crowd hears it, whatever, I'll do it. I'll continue doing it. But you figure I got 61 people watching right now. 60. Somebody dropped off because they probably got sick of hearing me talk. Down to 58. Maybe we can get down to 55 in a second. But anyway, what happens is that people check out of this stuff. It's just too much to comprehend. They don't bother reading the links, and we provide them. God knows we provide the links over and over and over again. They'll get 7 likes, 3 shares. I put up a meme about Hillary being evil. It'll get 500 or 600 likes. It'll be shared like 1,200 times. It's ridiculous. Yay, we got the cool meme out there. We throw the candy on the sidewalk so you guys will look at the economics, and hopefully you'll learn something. Most people just walk right by the economics and go pick up the Smartie wrapper off the floor, So what I'm hoping is that you guys look around at the suffering in your own homes. Don't even look beyond your own walls. Look in your own home. Look at grandma and the missing teeth. Look at your kids and the fact that they can't go to that camp because you don't have the money. Look at your kid that's going to be turning 18 that can't go to a decent school because you can't afford it. Look at all the different ways. Look at the times when you were hiding behind the shades in your house, cracking them up to look out to see if it was a process server coming to repossess your home. And think about how unnecessary that was. But yet the heart attacks that you were having, and the people that died out of fear of being evicted from their homes. All that. Think about it. Really, really, really put it in perspective. What it is that you've given up in the name of austerity for this lie that taxes fund spending. Put it in your own personal terms. Start doing an evaluation of every spot in your life, every death, because you didn't have the money. What if you had the money? What if you had the money to fix your teeth so you didn't have a grill that looked like Beavis and Butthead? And you could go out and get a better job, sad as it is, right? Sad as it is, they want somebody with a nice grill. I don't have a nice grill. People even mocked it because I broke a tooth in the front there, so this is uneven. Somebody had the nerve to say something in one of my streams about it. Get over it, dude. I got funky teeth, man. I can't help it. But I could help it if our government gave a shit and we didn't have a bunch of fools running around saying taxes fund spending. And guess what? There'd be more orthodontists in the world. There'd be more doctors in the world. There'd be more educators in the world. There'd be more real jobs in the world. We wouldn't be worrying about how many people we can get in to the Mars chocolate factory so we can process the wrappers that are being farmed out to robots anyway. I mean, why is this even remotely controversial? Because you've been conditioned for the last however many years that your hard-earned tax dollars done fund Latifah's iPhone. That's right. And that kind of just stupidity. Part of it's founded in ignorance. Part of it's founded in racism. Part of it's founded in you're just a dumbass, right? But let's be real. A lot of us just didn't know the facts, right? A lot of us didn't understand this. A lot of us don't even understand federal financing because it's really not what we do. It's not our wheelhouse. It's not our specialty. So we just kind of go with the prevailing logic. And the prevailing logic, as we've seen in this election in particular, is whatever the establishment wants it to be. So you got jackwads like Paul Krugman running around telling people it's pie in the sky and Bernie's lying and where's he going to get the money for his $33 trillion of spending for the next 10 years? And, okay, I'm going to do the Big Short kind of interlude here. And I'm just going to bring this up. One of the biggest letdowns I have with our Bernie team and the people that supported Bernie is how very few of them actually took the time to learn about Stephanie Kelton. I say that name and I still get dull stares. Stephanie Kelton is a genius. Dr. Stephanie Kelton. She was Bernie Sanders' economic advisor, his chief economic advisor. He was also his hand-picked chairman, the chief economist, whatever, for the Senate. I'll pull it up. I'm sorry, I'm tired, folks, so cut me some slack on that one. But she was the chief economist for the Democrats for the Senate Budget Committee. And she's also a guru of modern monetary theory. I mean, girlfriend is righteous. She can friggin' dunk from the free throw line. She's that bad. She is the baddest of the bad, and Bernie had the chutzpah to friggin' hire her on to be his top economic advisor, along with Bill Black, William Black, who many of you probably know from The Big Short. He was the guy that figured out the mortgage shit. He was the one that figured out all the banks were shorting the mortgage industry. He was the one that reported out on all that. You can find him over at New Economic Perspectives. L. Randall Wray on that team as well. James Galbraith on that team as well. And these are all people that were trying to save our lives. It's right. Lifesavers. And they're the ones that helped Bernie come up with a $33 trillion spending plan over the next 10 years. And what did they say? It's pie in the sky. And what did you say back to them? No, we can raise taxes. That's disappointing, folks. I'm not going to lie. Muy poquito. It's a little bit depressing that so many Bernie supporters didn't know anything about his econ team. We put it out. It'd get about 4 likes, 1 share, a comment that was cut and pasted. It was completely irrelevant to the subject matter. Completely irrelevant to the subject matter. Like, vote for Bernie. It's like, thank you, man. We are going to vote for Bernie. But in the meantime, How about we talk about economics and stop junking up my threads? How about that? And that's a shame, because here we are now. We're getting ready to get out of the in season where people start checking out of politics again. And you've got one guy sitting on his deck with a bunch of crickets and a freaking candle trying to tell the world taxes don't fund spending. And I'm hoping to God we get enough of you guys to pay attention. I know my shit, man. I really do. I have an MBA. Do you know how hard it was for me to let go of my MBA logic? The thinking that, I mean, I sat there and read 1,000 pages a week. I had to do like 100-page term papers. I went to China for 3 weeks to do an international studies. I also got some tattoo work done while I was in China. But the point is, I did an awful lot of work to get that MBA, and I had to unlearn an awful lot of it. Why is that? Because they taught monetarist thinking. They didn't teach about fiat currency. They didn't teach about what life was like off of the gold standard. They didn't. They didn't explain that when you're in a fiat environment like we are, that you have to look to the sovereign. Who is the sovereign? Who is the sovereign in the EU, right? Greece. We're not ever going to be Greece. Why is that? Because we are the sovereign. When Greece gave up their sovereignty and joined the EU and went on the euro, they lost their sovereignty, folks. Now they got to borrow, like they're Detroit or Puerto Rico. Non-sovereign entities. Our federal government is monetarily sovereign. It can print it at will. It's the creator of the dollar. We don't borrow US dollars from Brazil or China. Grow up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. It's true. So I'm going to dial it back for a couple seconds, and I'm going to ask you, even if you don't fully understand everything that I'm saying, and I understand that, trust me, it took me a while for the light bulb to go on, and I had an awful lot more than the average person to unlearn. I learned Austrian economics, I learned Keynes, I learned all manner of this nonsense. I learned about a bunch of bartering crap too. And I had to unlearn an awful lot, or better yet, I had to put the caveats to understand that when a currency is pegged to a commodity, the currency is now fluctuating according to that commodity. That's why you used to have wild spikes in the inflation rate up until about 1982. From 1971 to like 1980 something, 81, 82 time frame, you had ridiculous inflation. And it's the petrodollar. There is no freaking petrodollar. Don't ever say it again. There isn't. We're not pegged to any commodity. It's a free-floating, non-sovereign, non-convertible fiat currency. The only thing that gives it its value is the full faith and credit of the United States government. That's the truth. You don't have to like it, but you should at least know the truth. You should like it, though, because in the end, if we demand that our government, not the Federal Reserve, who handles monetary policy, which is simply lending rate, the Fed funds rate for interbanking dollars. They want to get you in debt. That's what these banks do. So if you want to hate them for trapping you with debt. But they're not the reason. The reason that you would be in debt is because our stinking government, our Congress, refuses to spend on the 99%. Why? Because they know you are still steeped in that idea that the federal government should act like your own household checkbook. If we eliminate your ignorance, they can't do it anymore, right? They can't continue to tell us we got to cut spending on welfare and we got to do personal responsibility. I mean, think about it. The entire Welfare Reform Act, the Personal Responsibility Act that Bill Clinton put in place, was all about austerity. It was all Calvinism and wagging the finger at those lazy, no-good people on welfare. Well, guess what? Every time our sovereign government, not your tax dollar, our sovereign government paid out a welfare check, paid out for food stamps, paid out for any number of things. It increased our economy. So what happened when Brother Bill cut the deficit and gave us the surplus? This stupid son of a bitch gave Bush a recession. But you'll see the Dumbocrats, the vote blues, talking about how Bush killed the economy when Clinton gave him a surplus. Well, now that you understand economics, you understand what he did was suck freaking money out of the economy and destroyed it. That's right. Ding, ding, ding. It wasn't Bush, it wasn't Shrub who put all the wars on a credit card. Bush did a lot of stupid things like killing tons of people, torturing them. But he didn't kill the economy by cutting taxes. Think about how many people have to swallow crow once they accept this. I love it. I want to be there, turn my hat around, say, tell me how it feels. Tell me about those feels. Does it hurt? Does it hurt to know that taxes don't fund spending? Does it hurt to say that Bush didn't tank the economy? That it was already in place? That it was the idiots that removed Glass-Steagall and caused these banks to go under? And because our federal government wasn't spending on the 99% and helping bail out homeowners, the economy tanked because we were taking on more private debt than we could handle. It was a private debt issue, folks. It wasn't the federal government. We, you and I, ran out of the ability to pay for all of our debts. So the economy went right down the shitter. It's just the way it goes. But we could have fixed that easy if our freaking Congress would have authorized spending on the 99%. Congress, not the Federal Reserve. Swear to God, when I hear that, I want to get on the top rope, oil myself up, get my Speedo, wrestling trunks on and drop the elbow, drop a leg, rake the eyes, do an Ivan Putski, because it is the dumbest frickin' thing anybody's ever said. And folks, you don't get any more left than me. I assure you, this is not a right-wing talking point. I'm telling you right now, you can't get much more left than me. I can roll, I'm so left. The fact of the matter is, our taxes don't fund spending. A surplus is a very, very bad thing because that means you took money out of the economy through leakages. And when people offshore their money in these tax havens, it's not doing what you think it's doing. The problem there is that it's out of circulation. I don't need it to return as taxes. They'll just delete them. I need that money to be reinvested back into the country. That's what I need. And it doesn't get reinvested. They don't take those dollars when they bring them back in taxes and reappropriate them. There is no piggy bank with crumpled up old dollar bills for your Social Security. Every dollar spent by the government is a new dollar. Boom, there you go. Do you think you'll repeat that? Probably not. You'll probably still do those stupid Occupy Democrat memes that talk about how Obama reduced the deficit, right? Isn't that what you're going to do? You're going to celebrate Obama fucking the economy up? Oh, no, he's safe. No, what Obama did was he gave a little spark, kept us floating. That was the stimulus, because that's called deficit spending. That's what we need to be doing constantly. Not stimulus as a means of governing. Constant deficit spending while we have a trade deficit. If we want to become producers of low-cost shit and we want people in factories again, we can bring it all back here. We can do that. And we can cut spending if it makes you feel better, and everybody can work long days in dark, dreary frickin' manufacturing plants again. Or you can stop looking a gift horse in the mouth, leave the shit jobs where they belong, and have our federal government, our Congress, spend money on doing real things like educating, healing people, paying for health care, getting bridges fixed. I mean, think about it. Why would you do anything else? Why would you be begging to get the Mars plant redoing its chocolate bars in the the assembly line? Yeah, and you're like, let me twist the Tootsie Pop wrapper. Carpal tunnel. Oh, my fingers are hurting. I've been doing this for 14 straight. I'm working third shift and swing shift and this shift and that shift. I mean, if I could make the face I'm feeling in here, it would be, I don't know. Let me see if I can get it. It'll be like, I don't know. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Why wouldn't you want our country better? Why wouldn't you want it? For the blue-collar people, there would be so much work, it would be unbelievable. Fixing roads, fixing bridges, learning new technology for all the different energy sources we have out there, the ones that we're not investing in because our hard-earned tax dollars, the climate that's going to bury us and sink the coastal because we don't have enough money to change the climate. Wow, we don't have enough money. There's that bullshit again. That's the killer. That's the murderer shit. Get wild-eyed, you know, because that makes me angry. You should know this. We never run out of money for bombs. Why is that? Oh, but the debt clock. I looked up there and it said $17 trillion. No. Oh, it went up to 18. No. It went. I mean, seriously, folks. Seriously. We're monetarily sovereign. We don't borrow dollars from China. Get it through the noodle. We do not borrow dollars. Hey, Mr. Chinese leader, we're desperate for U.S. dollars. You wouldn't know where we could score some, would you? I'm jonesing for $1. Come on, man. Seriously, you've been lied to. You've been duped because you're ignorant, because that's not your role. You're not an economist. You don't understand this stuff. So they play on you. Why? Because it allows the wealth gap to grow. That's why you've seen the unprecedented wealth gap grow. That's why Piketty is so freaking awesome. He saw this stuff. Thomas Piketty got this. He understood it. And that's why Thomas Piketty came out and said, you know, Bernie Sanders could change the world with what he's doing. And that $33 trillion, guess who else has got a major Green New Deal that is founded on sovereign money? Jill Stein, that's right. Guess who's offering up a meager, now think about this, Shill is doing less than $250 billion a year. Now we have an annual trade deficit alone of $500 billion a year. That's a leakage, that's money leaving the country. $500 billion. And she's offering up like $250 billion. So guess what? We're still at a net neg of negative $250 billion. Just, and that's not the right math. There's more to it than that. But just so you all don't get blown away, I'm just keeping it real. Money going out of this country for trade deficit is about $500 billion annually. She's offering up new spending less than the trade deficit. That means our economy is shrinking. It's not about GDP. Forget GDP. We don't need to produce shit. We literally don't need to produce shit. Our market is so awesome. And the things that we do already are so awesome that people are willing to sell their goods and services to us because they want the dollar. Now, let's just say hypothetically, because I get this a lot, but isn't the U.S. reserve status in big trouble? Big deal. Seriously, all jokes aside. Jobs would go crazy. They go through the roof in this country. We wouldn't be out there farming out our work to China anymore. So for probably the next 100 years, we'd be hitting and sticking like Granny's chicken. So who cares? I'm telling you right now, stop saying things that are above your pay grade. Learn this stuff. Take it seriously, because it is more important than any other political issue you could face today, because every single one of our issues always comes back down to how are you paying for it. And to tie this bow on this sucker, my dad is going to end up passing away from a disease that is hardly understood at this time. Why? Because it wasn't profitable for private industry to suck their freaking R&D money into it. It's relatively rare, so why would they do that? There's not enough bang for the buck. But our federal government could have. They sure as hell could have. But unfortunately, there was too many people out there talking about their hard-earned tax dollars. Now remember, federal government, taxes don't fund spending. Why? Because the federal government is the currency issuer. State government, taxes fund spending. Why is that? Because they are not sovereign and they are a currency user. The same as in Greece. Greece is no longer monetarily sovereign. Greece has to get money from their bank, from the EU. They're no longer on the drachma, which was their sovereign currency. So now Greece is in slave labor to the, to the powers that be. That's what happens when you give up your sovereignty, and that's what happens when you don't understand economics. This is Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, hoping you learned something. Please wish me well tomorrow with my father. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. I love that man so much. I'm dreading him leaving. And to quote Grey's Anatomy, I don't even want to say it. I don't know how to exist in a world in which my father doesn't. And I don't. So wish me well. This journey's going to be tough, I assure you. I love you guys. Have a great night.